Shakespeare's Hamlet has been taught in high schools for decades, being one of the most widely taught classics, even in 1963. Transcribed into 86 languages, with about 5 million page views per year, few plays have the global reach of Hamlet. Yet the world has changed quite a bit since publication 425 years ago. Back then, the graphite pencil had just been invented, the King James Bible had just been published, and Elizabeth I was still in power. So has Hamlet overstayed its welcome in the classroom? Is it time to phase it out of Canadian English classes? No. Hamlet has several key features that make it perfect for the classroom. It's relatable, covering several topics that are relevant today. The questions it asks and the issues it tackles are serious and relevant in the classroom. It opens the window to interesting psychological analysis, offering students insight into several themes that are rarely all seen together. By doing so, it asks unique questions and gives students the opportunity to give their own answers. It has a unique language that can expand vocabulary and better prepare students for reading other, even more complex texts. Lastly, it has almost unparalleled amount of interpretations, giving students the chance to analyze more than just dialogue decisions. Hamlet has everything. Why would you want to teach anything else? The topics it covers mean that it can be relatable to almost any audience. Drama, love, hate, revenge, murder, sin, humor. It does it all. Hamlet, like anyone, struggles with hesitation and indecisiveness. He's a serial overthinker whose conscience stops him from taking action he deems necessary. Throughout the play, he wants revenge, but knows revenge is wrong. Laertes, after causing his own death, regrets his actions, something everyone can relate to, even if it's not on the scale of murder. So, we are left understanding at least some of Hamlet's characters, their struggles, forcing the audience to understand serious themes like grief, hatred, and love. The play itself tackles issues that are of modern relevance. This is to say that life is hard. Life in Hamlet is hard. And so is life today. And many of those issues are eternal. They affected Shakespeare, your parents, yourself, and nearly everyone else. They are simply part of the human existence, which fills Hamlet with so much grief and rage. He is deeply flawed. He is hateful, revengeful, overthinking, meaning the audience doesn't place him on some pedestal. To some extent, he is you. Canadian classrooms are diverse, but by virtue of the play's broad topics, it can become relatable with every student in the classroom, regardless of background, gender, or any other factor. Relatable characters create empathy. When Hamlet's characters struggle with the pain their deceits cause, we understand the lesson. When Hamlet rambles on about the pain of being human, we know what he's talking about. And when he asks questions, so do we. Try it. What do you think? Why do you grunt and sweat under a weary life? Now, your life may or may not be weary, but what he's asking is why you keep going when times are hard, what motivates you and keeps you happy. And only a play as relatable as Hamlet can make a diverse audience understand the lessons and questions it poses. So, by virtue of covering almost every theme imaginable, Hamlet can teach moral lessons like the pain deceit causes. It can ask thoughtful questions about a student's experiences. It can cause introspection, making the student consider their own flaws and damage they might cause. That is not to say that Hamlet will always be 100% appreciated by the audience, or that it'll teach the same lesson every time, but that is true of any text. Hamlet tackles serious topics through human psychology, making it full of ample opportunities for students to analyze text. He is consumed with grief, wearing customary suits of sullen black. He appears to be going mad, and he longs to avenge his father's death. Because we, the audience, know Hamlet's inner turmoil, we can ask questions about the dialogue. For example, how does The to be or not to be soliloquy reflect Hamlet's internal mental state. What's the tone he's trying to convey? Why does he treat Ophelia so cruelly? Why does he struggle to kill Claudius, despite having the blood of 5 people on his hands? Students can analyze any part of the dialogue to try and understand what Hamlet or any of the other characters are thinking. For example, one may read Hamlet's claim he's putting on an antic disposition, but students may analyze and ask, has he gone mad? Some people, like Sigmund Freud or T.S. Eliot, have published their views, but students have their own opportunity to come up with their own conclusion. Whether you look at it through a historical lens, psychological lens, an archetypal lens, or a feminist lens, students have no shortage of opportunities to critically approach the literature, offering a full classroom of students their own unique viewpoints and insights. But it's not only relatability and themes that make Hamlet uniquely suited for the classroom. Shakespeare, after all, is famous for his language. Let's take a look. Rant, fashionable, scene. What do all these words have in common? Shakespeare made them all up. He used his own words for his flow, making reading more difficult but forcing the reader to rely on context clues. That's not all he does. Let's take a look at this passage. He'll interrupt the middle of a sentence whenever he sees fit, separating the words that would usually put together. In this case, he separates the term gone along. Without this interruption, you may gain clarity, but you lose the rhythm or emphasis. Shakespeare may also switch around the verb and noun. Rather than saying he goes, he may write goes he. More than just dialogue, he uses literary devices exceptionally. For example, Horatio foreshadows Hamlet's character arc, saying that the ghost may kill Hamlet or deprive his sovereignty of reason and drive him mad, describing Hamlet's own plunge into madness and, eventually, death. Shakespeare writes like no other, offering students a widened vocabulary and better understanding of sentence structure. In fact, Shakespeare's writing is so unique and different that it quite literally activates and excites the brain. The brain becomes so baffled by the unique structure that it is jolted into a higher level of thinking. When the brain reads easy text, it gets bored. Or in other words, the mind, when nourished too long by unlabored speech, doth soon grow idle. This improves education by preparing students for difficult texts they may encounter in future studies, research, or the workforce. Any student could use these skills to handle thick legal documents, textbooks, and employee manuals, and will struggle without them. This is more important now than ever. Literacy rates have already been on the decline in North America, so maintaining challenging texts to develop crucial reading skills is crucial. Hamlet enhances education of literary themes and texts, a necessary skill in the modern world. If we want a generation in the future capable of non-AI fueled critical thinking and speech, then we need to keep difficult texts like Hamlet in the curriculum. But Hamlet is far more than a bunch of words. 50. That is the number of film adaptations there are for Hamlet. Among these adaptations, you'll find countless different decisions that influence the interpretation of the story. Cinematography, dialogue, actors. All of them are slightly different in each version. One might focus on emotion, or another on action. Students can explore the impact of choosing to cut select scenes, choose specific camera angles, and make specific acting decisions, and which they believe matches their own interpretation most closely. Hamlet is not without its critics. Some might call it outdated, made for a world so different from our own. Another might call it impenetrable for students who have never experienced Shakespeare before. It's his longest piece, contains difficult language, and admittedly can sometimes feel hard to follow. How can we justify the boredom and resentment that it makes the student feel? And how is it relevant to us in the modern day? With completely different lived experiences and centuries of history past the original tale, those criticisms aren't unfounded. It's difficult for an educator to teach a class full of all different reading levels and backgrounds about Hamlet, and some students might be left behind. But the benefits it offers can't be looked past. Another viewer may call the play timeless, valuable, interesting. Throughout this presentation, you've heard about the value it provides for literary education. So maybe Hamlet shouldn't be cult. We should just alter the way we teach it. We shouldn't play it in front of students and say, read Shakespeare. We should teach students how to read Shakespeare, how to derive meaning from confusing sentences, and identify literary devices. And this education can't start a month before the play begins. Knowledge needs to be cultivated every year. Perhaps plays in increasing difficulty should be given every year, benefiting students far more than if they are dumped in the deep end. By doing so, we can reverse the decline of literacy rates, prepare students for understanding themes and other texts they encounter, and understanding the production choices behind the media they consume, keeping Hamlet in the curriculum and providing enough support to ensure that students are prepared to consume the play. We can help create the next generation of capable young students. The goal shouldn't be to make text easier. It should be to better equip students to handle the challenge. Thank you.